In today's podcast, we're going to talk about the psychology of money. This audio recording includes subtitles so you can follow along more intentionally and absorb the ideas at your own pace. Money is far more than a medium for buying goods and services. It functions as a powerful symbol, carrying complex emotional and social meanings. For many individuals, it signifies personal freedom and accomplishment, while for others, it can become a source of anxiety and stress. By looking deeper into the ways people think about, feel about, and use money, it becomes clear that our relationship with it is shaped by factors ranging from cultural values to subconscious biases. When we examine these influences, we begin to understand how our financial decisions rarely stem from mere calculations of profit or loss. Rather, they result from a mix of emotions, habits, and societal norms. A crucial insight into the psychology of money is the realization that it often intertwines with a person's sense of self. An individual may see wealth or income level as a measurement of personal success. Whether this perception comes from family upbringing, social comparisons, or cultural standards, money can become entangled with questions of self-esteem and identity. As children, many people hear adults talk about the necessity of a good job or a comfortable living, which instills the idea that material prosperity correlates with competence or worthiness. This notion deepens over time through everyday interactions. Comparing incomes or lifestyle choices with friends and colleagues can evoke shame, guilt, or pride, depending on whether we perceive ourselves as behind or ahead. Advertising and media further reinforce the association between money and self-image, often depicting financial success as the pinnacle of life achievement. Money also serves as a form of self-expression through spending patterns. Some individuals enjoy purchasing high-end items because it aligns with how they wish to be perceived, perhaps as refined or successful. Others might resist visible displays of wealth, fearing it could appear ostentatious or shallow. Personal values and cultural contexts play significant roles in determining whether someone views money as a personal statement or merely as a resource to be managed. Emotions and financial choices. While classic economic theory often frames individuals as rational beings, the reality is more complex. Emotional reactions such as fear, excitement, guilt, or regret can overshadow logical thinking, leading to decisions that may not always serve one's long-term well-being. Fear surfaces in various ways. It may stem from the worry that a job could be lost, expenses might rise, or investments could plummet. This concern can drive people to make hasty decisions, like liquidating assets at the wrong time or avoiding promising opportunities because they fear losing what they already have. Excitement, on the other hand, can lead to impulsive investments fueled by the thrill of gaining quick returns. The fear of missing out on a potentially lucrative chance can overpower more measured thinking. Guilt and shame can be equally influential. A person who experiences guilt about having more wealth than family members might give away money in ways that disrupt personal financial stability, perhaps to maintain a sense of solidarity. Shame about having less can trigger overcompensation through conspicuous spending, or it can cause individuals to withdraw from social situations where finances might become a topic of conversation. Regret emerges when we dwell on what might have been. The sense of missed opportunity Perhaps not investing in a thriving market or not saving enough during a prosperous period can color future behaviors. This emotional weight can make individuals overly cautious or recklessly bold, depending on how they process their regrets. Biases and heuristics. Humans rely on mental shortcuts to navigate a complex world, and these shortcuts often shape our thinking about money in ways that are not always optimal. A common tendency, known as loss aversion, leads individuals to fear losses more than they value gains. This makes a potential setback feel more painful than a comparable increase in wealth feels pleasurable. When faced with a declining investment, loss aversion can nudge a person to hold on indefinitely, hoping for a rebound rather than cutting losses in a strategic manner. Another subtle bias is the inclination to look for evidence that confirms pre-existing beliefs. This dynamic, often referred to in psychology as a preference for supportive data, can push an investor to read only certain market analyses, reinforcing ideas already held. When contradictory information arises, it may be dismissed or overlooked. As a result, financial decisions may not reflect the full breadth of available knowledge. Anchoring is another cognitive quirk that can distort monetary judgments. When negotiating a salary or contemplating a purchase, the first figure that comes to mind creates a mental reference point. Later, offers or price tags are judged relative to that initial figure, even if that starting point was arbitrary or out of step with real market values. Mental accounting is also significant. People often treat one sum of money differently from another based on how they label it. An individual might be reluctant to use a vacation fund to cover an urgent medical cost, even though the wiser financial choice might be to reallocate those resources. Similarly, a year-end bonus may be treated as fun money to be spent frivolously rather than saved or used for more pressing obligations. Recognizing these biases can help individuals pause and question the assumptions driving their financial decisions. Awareness alone cannot eliminate ingrained thought patterns, but it offers a chance to inject deliberate reflection into moments that might otherwise be guided purely by habit. Cultural and social influences. Money decisions often arise from the cultural and social contexts in which we live. Although many communities discourage open discussion about salaries, debts, or savings, what remains unspoken can be as influential as what is openly expressed. Children who never learn the basics of budgeting or investing from parents may struggle to develop sound financial habits as adults. If conversations about money are deemed taboo, people may rely on guesswork, leading to suboptimal choices or misconceptions. Modern consumer culture amplifies this issue. Society frequently portrays expensive lifestyles as the norm, urging people to upgrade possessions whenever possible. From advertisements to social media, there's a strong push to buy or lease newer and more luxurious products, fueling the belief that the good life is inseparable from consistent consumption. This phenomenon can spur overspending and an ongoing chase for external validation. Family background also shapes our approach to money. Those who grow up in financially constrained households often develop a sense of scarcity, which can manifest as extreme caution or anxiety in adulthood. Conversely, individuals raised in abundance may assume that money is easy to acquire, leading them to underestimate the potential pitfalls of reckless spending. The broader cultural climate also influences how we define success. In societies that equate prosperity with personal worth, the pursuit of wealth can become a near obsessive goal. While this fixation can motivate individuals to work diligently, it also generates stress, competition, and sometimes unethical behavior to get ahead. A more balanced viewpoint might emphasize stability and prudent resource management as markers of financial health, as opposed to pure accumulation, self-control, and delayed gratification. A well-known psychological experiment highlights the power of delayed gratification, revealing that those who can postpone a small reward in the present tend to experience positive outcomes in various life domains. Though these experiments with treats and children remain symbolic, the lesson applies to money management in a direct way. Saving, investing, and resisting impulsive spending require the capacity to look beyond the immediate satisfaction of a purchase. Developing self-control around money is not simply a matter of sheer willpower. It involves creating routines and systems that reduce the temptation to deviate from plans. Automated transfers into savings accounts or targeted funds can remove the need for constant self-discipline. Setting vivid financial goals for the future can also strengthen motivation. When people imagine the home they hope to buy, or the sense of relief they might feel upon paying off debt, they are more likely to set aside resources instead of succumbing to impulsive desires. This capacity for delayed gratification supports the building of wealth and security over the long term. The act of saving smaller amounts at regular intervals can eventually amount to significant sums. Rather than yearning for instant but fleeting pleasures, this approach nurtures a more sustainable route to financial well-being. Money and happiness. A perennial question is whether money buys happiness. Research indicates that financial resources do improve life satisfaction when someone's basic needs are not yet met. Adequate income for shelter, food, healthcare, and occasional leisure can reduce stress and improve general contentment. However, once fundamental comfort is secured, more wealth does not necessarily guarantee proportionately higher happiness. Several factors explain this diminishing return. Humans have a tendency to adapt quickly to new circumstances, a process sometimes called the hedonic treadmill. The enjoyment of a new home or a nicer vehicle often fades as the novelty wears off, prompting a renewed desire for the next big thing. Furthermore, how money is spent can matter as much as the total amount. Some studies suggest that spending on meaningful experiences, like travel or learning new skills, tends to provide longer-lasting joy than purely material purchases. The opportunity to create shared memories with loved ones is a dimension of spending that fosters a sense of belonging. In addition, directing resources toward philanthropic endeavors or charitable gifts can yield emotional benefits. Supporting a cause that resonates with personal values enhances a sense of purpose and connection, potentially offering more fulfillment than solitary purchases. It is also worth noting that true financial comfort involves not just the size of a paycheck, but how those resources are managed. Someone earning a modest income who maintains a healthy budget and avoids burdensome debt may experience more peace of mind than a higher earner juggling escalating monthly bills. Thus, the relationship between money and happiness is nuanced, relying on both sufficiency of resources and the mindset with which those resources are used. The burden and utility of debt. Credit can be a powerful tool, but also a significant trap. It allows people to handle large expenses or unexpected costs and to spread payments over time, offering short-term relief. However, credit often disguises the real impact of spending by removing the immediate, tangible act of parting with cash. Clicking to confirm an online purchase or tapping a card at a register may feel less consequential than physically handing over funds. Over the long haul, this disconnect can lead to hefty debts that accumulate unnoticed until interest payments become overwhelming. Debt is often associated with substantial emotional weight. Anxiety, guilt, and even shame can accompany mounting balances, and these feelings sometimes lead to avoidance behaviors, such as not opening bank statements or ignoring overdue notices. The stress and isolation that can arise from severe debt may even damage relationships if one partner or family member is unaware of the financial realities. Not all debt is unwise. Taking on financial obligations for education, a home, or a business can be transformative if handled responsibly. The difference lies in whether that commitment contributes to long-term growth or traps the debtor in escalating fees and high interest rates. Recognizing that distinction involves a realistic evaluation of one's earning capacity, future goals, and the broader economic landscape. Saving and investing. Saving is sometimes overshadowed by the allure of immediate gratification. Yet the capacity to set aside money regularly can make the difference between constant financial anxiety and a sense of security. A consistent saving habit ensures that emergencies do not derail daily life, while also allowing the slow accumulation of funds that can later be invested for greater returns. Investing, in turn, introduces the idea of the time value of money. Funds placed in a well-managed portfolio have the potential to grow, albeit with the risk of market fluctuations. The psychological hurdle lies in accepting that markets naturally rise and fall. Panic-driven reactions to temporary downturns often result in selling at inopportune times, undermining any long-term strategy. Cultivating patience, staying informed, and diversifying investments helps mitigate the emotional roller coaster that often accompanies economic volatility. Long-term planning benefits greatly from setting clear objectives, such as accumulating resources for a future home or building a cushion for unforeseen events. By specifying a target amount or a timeline, individuals transform vague wishes into tangible goals. That sense of clarity can reinforce positive habits and reduce emotional strain. Strategies to foster better financial decisions. Many people who strive to improve their finances find it helpful to rely on methods grounded in psychological and behavioral insights. One approach is to rely on automatic processes. Rather than counting on willpower to move money into savings each month, automatic transfers can be scheduled so that funds are set aside without conscious effort. Creating a structured framework for spending helps as well. Some find it helpful to categorize needs, personal treats, and savings or debt repayments in distinct mental compartments. By recognizing daily essentials as separate from items that are merely desired, one can more easily see areas where spending can be adjusted. Mindfulness plays a role too. Whenever a purchase or investment decision arises, taking a moment to pause and reflect on whether this choice aligns with personal goals can cut down on impulsive missteps. This could involve stepping away from an online shopping cart for a short time, or writing down the reason for a financial move and revisiting it the next day. The objective is to introduce a thoughtful check that prevents emotional whims from taking over. Visualizing a future self also nurtures healthier decisions. Envisioning the kind of life desired a few years or more from now can make the benefits of saving and investing feel more tangible. That mental exercise transforms distant outcomes into something more immediate, which encourages consistent action in the present. Defining financial freedom. For many, the idea of financial freedom looms as a key aspiration. It suggests a state in which work becomes optional or aligned with passion rather than necessity, and debt or other obligations do not overshadow day-to-day life. Rather than being tied to a single definition or sum, financial freedom hinges on feeling secure, having choices, and not being subjected to constant money stress. Some people interpret financial freedom as having sufficient resources to handle life's unpredictable events. For others, it might mean having enough set aside to take a career break or retire early. In any case, it represents a place where money operates as a supportive tool rather than a limiting factor. A lifestyle that satisfies basic needs and aligns with personal values stands at the core of such freedom. It is important to recognize that chasing endless financial benchmarks can become its own trap. Beyond a level of comfort and security, accumulating more might not yield a proportionate increase in contentment. Realizing this allows individuals to aim not just for a lofty figure, but for a situation that balances material well-being with psychological peace. Avoiding common pitfalls. Many individuals encounter classic difficulties along the path to financial stability. One involves the tendency to increase living expenses at the same pace as an increase in income. This shift can mean that no matter how paychecks grow, saving never becomes more substantial, leaving people in a cycle of reliance on the next paycheck or the next bonus. Being conscious of lifestyle creep can encourage channeling at least a portion of extra funds into strategic savings or investments instead. Impulse buying can also become a consistent source of regret. The easy availability of online retailers, combined with social media advertising, makes it simple to purchase something on a whim. Over time, these smaller spending habits add up, creating a habit of waiting before finalizing a non-essential purchase offers a buffer that often reveals that the initial urge was fleeting. Short-term thinking around investments is another stumbling block. When rumors of a profitable opportunity spread, many jump at the chance without fully understanding the risk. This behavior can be fueled by anxiety about missing out, which sometimes leads to putting money into ventures that lack solid fundamentals. A more systematic approach involves assessing risk tolerance, staying informed through reputable sources, and maintaining a balanced portfolio that does not rely on the performance of just one or two assets. Failing to secure insurance coverage is also a serious yet common oversight. Unforeseen events such as accidents, medical emergencies, or severe weather can quickly drain savings. Although insurance premiums feel like an additional drain on monthly finances, the peace of mind provided by protection often outweighs the cost in the long run. Neglecting retirement planning can be equally damaging, since it may feel distant, Younger adults often delay setting aside funds for the future. Yet consistent, smaller contributions compounded over many years become quite substantial. By the time retirement draws near, playing catch-up can be challenging and stressful. Money and mental well-being. Financial worries can be a significant contributor to mental health strains. Persistent stress about paying bills, covering debts, or uncertain employment can lead to anxiety or depression. These feelings can lead to withdrawal from social connections, difficulty focusing, and other challenges that only intensify financial complications. When mental health declines, it becomes more difficult to stay disciplined or motivated to repair a personal balance sheet or develop new career paths. Conversely, financial stability can nurture emotional wellness. Knowing there is a safety net for emergencies or that debt is under control eases day-to-day worries. Even small milestones, such as completing a month without exceeding a carefully planned budget, can create a sense of accomplishment and self-efficacy. Individuals who achieve steady progress often find that their mental outlook improves in tandem. If financial stress becomes unmanageable, it is vital to seek help. Speaking with a professional or finding a support group can offer both practical tips and emotional reassurance. In some cases, making a plan with a financial advisor who understands the psychological side of money can ease feelings of overwhelm, providing structured steps toward a healthier financial life. Ethical and moral considerations. Money is not strictly a personal matter. Many people grapple with moral questions about how they earn, invest, or spend their resources. Someone might feel uneasy about profiting from certain industries, or question whether it is ethical to accumulate large sums in a world where many struggle with basic necessities. These moral reflections can lead individuals to explore socially responsible investing, charitable giving, or volunteer work as ways to use financial power for broader positive impact. Philanthropy can provide a sense of purpose. Rather than viewing wealth purely as a vehicle for personal gain, some prefer to see it as a means of improving the lives of others or supporting causes that reflect their deepest values. This viewpoint not only benefits communities or organizations in need, but can also cultivate a sense of connection and responsibility. In a professional or corporate setting, questions about money often turn into ethical dilemmas. Paying employees fairly, setting fair prices for goods, or managing profit margins without exploiting vulnerable stakeholders are ongoing challenges. A business environment guided only by maximizing profits can erode trust and damage both morale and reputation. Balancing monetary goals with ethical considerations involves more than compliance with regulations. It requires a conscientious attitude toward the larger society in which the business operates. By recognizing that wealth is not an absolute guarantor of well-being, individuals can shift focus away from an endless pursuit of more and toward the pursuit of balance. The psychological underpinnings of money, cognitive biases, emotional responses, social pressures affect us all. Yet by questioning habitual patterns, embracing mindful strategies, and setting meaningful goals, it becomes possible to shape a healthier, more thoughtful relationship with finances. Rather than viewing money as a source of stress or a purely pragmatic concern, it can be approached as a tool for shaping the life one truly desires. With deliberate planning, emotional awareness, and ethical sensitivity, individuals can harness money for security, contentment, and a sense of purpose. The path may involve reflection, patience, and trial and error, but it ultimately offers a chance to align financial decisions with genuine values, creating a foundation for both peace of mind and deeper fulfillment